But that was sort of my niche, and you know, and there was a couple times, you know, when K-Line went to the front office when he and George Kell were doing TV, they took like 5 or 6 guys, and they had about 30 games left the season. So like Darrell Evans did a couple games on the coast because he lives out there. Steve Kemp did a couple. Sure. Lolich went to Cleveland, did a couple. Well, they haven't even playing in Cincinnati, and UPN was the station. Fox wasn't that big yet, so UPN. We're just doing like the Sunday game, so they had me do the Sunday game with Frank Beckman. And you know Frank, he'd miss.
Sure, he was my partner.
Was he?
When I did the
That's
Tigers
what I'm getting
radio.
to next. I'm going
And
right
boy,
to it
did
next,
he
man.
ever? I mean, he just would set me up. And,
Yeah.
I mean, he just was. He couldn't have been nicer. The guy that was an absolute rookie, you know, in the booth. I'd done some radio and stuff, but this was a big league game. You know, and I was on. I called a home run for Higgins, and the guy threw one here, and he just missed it. Foul straight back. I said, Frank, if he comes back there, it's a 2-run homer. We're going to be ahead. Boom, choom, out there. You know, Warden called it. Higgins
You sounded like a genius.
Yeah, you know. So how did you know that? You know, and then they walk somebody, and Frank said, "Why would they walk the guy to get to the number 8 hitter?" I said, "Well, because he's hitting about $150, and he's going to hit into double play. Next pitch, hey, ground ball, oh, second to first, double play."
There you go.
Frank's going, "Holy cow!" But it was great. But the thing is, the following year, they liked it so well that different guys, you got a different perspective, and there's some 84 guys and some 68s, you know, and they said, "Hey, we've got 60 game schedule. We're going to probably take 3 guys and give them 20 games each."
Really?
And I'm thinking, well, I got to be one of the 3, because the guy Toby Cunningham loved me, and he said, "I can't believe." He said, "If you hadn't told me that was your first game, I would never believe you, because you were so comfortable.
Right.
Everything was good." And so Phil Garner fires Lance Parrish.
Okay.
So Parrish, like, they had a year left on his contract. So what they do, the Tigers go to Parrish. How about going and he did all 60 games. They gave it to him. He didn't want it. He wanted to be in uniform somewhere. He was upset with the Tigers.
But he got his paycheck if he did.
But he got his paycheck, plus a little bump from being on TV. And he saw me at fantasy camp that next year, and he looked at me and he just went like this. He said, "John, when they gave me that, you were the first guy I thought of, because I knew you wanted it. I knew you'd do it 100 times better than me." He said, "I didn't even want to be there." And the next year he was in uniform. So it opens up again. Who they give it to? The most anti-media person in the world, Jack Morris, gets it.
Oh,
Jack. And at this point, Fox
he's doing the Twins games now.
Yeah.
Well, he's not even doing them.
Is he done doing the Twins games?
Yeah, he's done doing those guys. I talked to Blyleven. He's not doing them. So
Bert's still doing them, isn't he?
yeah, Bert's still doing them. And so now that year they were only going to do about 30 games. So Jack does the 30 games. Then the following year, Jack goes to Minnesota to do those games, and they hired Dan Petrie. I just didn't have that 5 or 6 years in the big leagues where I had the name. You know, I could do the job, but I just couldn't. You know.
Well, who's kidding who? This is my 6th year, you know, of organizing this and that, and it all started with your book. And I said, well, I get 20 different guys. Like, this is your first year here, this is your first year. I try to bring back the same 10 or 15 and 20 new guys.
Yeah, sure.
So that
makes sense.
It's a good cycle.
That's
and then I'll say
great.
to the 10 or 15 returning, "Larry, you're coming back this year. Who do you want me to call on your behalf? John, you're coming back, right? Who do we call on your behalf?" So that we not only bring the different guys back, the 10 or 15, then the new guys are from you guys coming back.
Oh, that's good.
You're
Good
my
idea.
salesman.
Yeah, good for you.
But absolutely, so you must be busy because, buddy, it's taken a half a decade to get you here. You know, and every time I talk to you like this, Billy, and I'm going, "John, it's not like the other 100 chicken dinners." Because the interview that this kid's going to do is before you leave town. Because you're sitting here right now, and both of you have no idea what you're in store for.
Yeah.
And I know that when I talk to you on the phone, Larry, you, and as gracious, and I know I'm using Brawny, I'm using every weapon I got to get you right up here. You know, because I'm not letting you go. I was going to stop by your house going to spring training. I mean, I am relentless, right, doing what I'm doing. But when you two leave, it'll be interesting to get your perspective, because it's not those 100 chicken dinners you've been to. It's not those 100 golf tournaments. But you don't know that until, obviously, you see it.
Sure.
Larry, to go into being behind the mic, I know you were easygoing, and I know that personality made me be cool around you. To go into broadcasting, what fell into place? I just heard a Lance Parrish story, a Dan Petrie story. You know, you hear all these guys. You do got the time in the big leagues. So what got you in front of the mic and how that happened?
Actually, I was a speech major, journalism minor in college.
Oh, cool.
So you know, I wanted to go into broadcasting,
Yeah.
even if the baseball hadn't worked out. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just, right place at the right time,
Yeah.
you know. And,
Where was it? What year? What happened?
I got the College World Series for ESPN. That was my first
Cool.
broadcasting
Yeah,
job.
that's a good
Really?
Doing the College World Series, yeah.
Jim
And,
Price did it one of those years
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Price, he was in it.
And actually, I was supposed to get the job that Price had
No kidding.
on TV. We had a contract agreed to and everything looked, they were gonna put up a press release on a Friday morning, and Thursday night, they called me up and said, we've had a change. Price is gonna do the TV job. I
Is
said,
that Pass Network?
yeah.
Yeah, it was Pass.
Bill Wishman. And
Yeah.
I said, we agreed on a contract. We shook hands on this. And they said, yeah, but Price is gonna do the games.
Oh, man.
So then they came back and they offered me the radio job, and I did the Tigers radio job for 5 years.
You did it for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be behind the mic.
Yeah.
So my question is, you saw 900 games.
Mm-hmm.
Give me something that stands out, because now you're not in the field. You actually get to see everything.
Well, how many games did they lose that one year? 120? We broadcast that year.
That was a
a
struggle,
lot of
wasn't
fun.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
really a lot of fun. And somebody said to me in the locker room, they said, you know, one of the vice presidents, Dave Glazier,
Oh,
said,
Dave,
you've been
yeah.
kind of hard on the boys here lately. I said, we lost 16-2 and 18-1 this week. What do you want me to say?
Yeah.
Oh, we held them to a double off the wall on that pitch.
Yeah,
You know?
like, gee, yeah, what do you throw in there?
I mean, how can you spice it up when you're losing 95 times?
I can't imagine it. You're losing left and right.
Just every day.
Yeah.
And see, I played in Cleveland for a couple of years too, in '82 and '83, and we weren't very good.
Yeah, but you won. You won in Cleveland.
Yeah.
You won your share. I
Yeah.
watched. I looked it up before I got
But-
here. The team wasn't so good, but your record wasn't that
We
bad.
used to say that we were mathematically eliminated opening day.
Yeah. Well, we almost had him. Wait till next year.
I want to ask you both the same question, so I don't care who goes first. You're going to take a kid to a ball game, just a kid you met at a camp or whatnot, and it's going to be his first major league game. But you're not using your alumni, and you're not using your card, right? You're going to go up to the window like a fan, and you're going to buy 2 tickets, all right? And you're taking the kid because you're doing a good deed. You got 30 major league teams. You got 25 guys on each roster, right? So you got 750 players. I like the way your brains go with this answer. You got 750 players, but you want the kid to see this one player. Now, I know there's going to be a bunch of guys in the All-Star game this year. So who is the one player you're taking the kid to see 2012?
Go ahead.
Ooh, after you.
I know, look at that one, see?
Well,
And why? Obviously, I want to go, why are
You
you
know,
picking this one
it's funny
player?
you mentioned it because I told a lot of people, I said, no matter what market you're in as an owner and you own a team, you've got to have a player that I'm going to buy a ticket to come and see. Why am I going to come and see the Washington Senators back in '68 when they're 40 games out of front? Why am I going to pay that money to go see anybody they have? Maybe Frank Howard.
Sure.
So that's the way I look at it. Now, being a pitcher, and the guy that's got the most dynamic stuff in either league, I'd take him to see when Verlander pitched and say, here, now watch this guy's mechanics, watch his intensity, and watch when he gets, of course, now they flash up, the miles per hour, which I don't personally care for. It's sort of a shaky number anyway. But when Verlander gets upset, I was up there Tuesday when he pitched, and Quentin Berry dropped a fly ball, 200 runs scored, 6-1 game, then all of a sudden 6-3 with a couple guys on.
Right.
The next couple pitches, 101, 100, and he was throwing 96, 94.
Right.
I mean, just to watch his stuff, and he makes a major league hitter look like some kid on a JV team that's never played. He's got just
I've never seen anybody that can dial it up that late in the game the way that he does. I mean, when he smells the barn. You
guys are going to see, on the way down to spring training, when you and I were talking, I stopped off at John Grubb's place in Virginia. And Grubby's one of the most well-liked guys in the game of baseball. So it's nice to see different generations and then talk things. And Grubby, right, not only is answering the question like you guys, but he's like, now, Billy, you know that Justin. And so Verlander grew up not too far from where Grubby lives.
He's from Virginia.
And it's like he's his coach, or this is my kid.
Yeah.
And he's just pumping him up because this is our local boy.
Sure.
And he goes, now I know that he doesn't act like or maybe speak like he's from Virginia, but he is.
Yeah.
And he is from Virginia. So it was good to hear Grubby, you know,
But
say the
yeah,
same
it's just-
answer as you.
But it's, I just think, you know, being a pitcher and maybe if a hitter may give a different answer because he might like a certain hitter.
Sure.
And I'm not gonna mention it because I don't want to influence your answer. But I just think Verlander's
Yeah,
worth
he's
every
great
bit of the
pitcher.
ticket, yeah.
But now, obviously, I'm going to only eliminate one name from the possibility of ones you can pick. I'm eliminating Verlander if you were picking him. So now you got this kid, right? And he knows he's going to the game. And actually, my first big league game was with a former player that just made it possible because of whatever situation I was in. Freddie Wenz, Fireball. And so he's going to the game with this former major league pitcher. He's sitting in the stands, but they're only going to the game you pick. Fire away, man.
I'm a Tiger fan. I grew up in Detroit,
Okay.
so it would be the Tigers. And I'll tell you what, I love watching Fielder hit.
Yeah.
I love watching Fielder hit.
I got to follow
Good
this
hitter.
up. Watch it. Now, everything is based on kids or college kids. A Fielder story that may both of you take with it. I'm down there, spring training, and talk to him before the game and explain what I'm looking to do. And not use it so much statistics, contracts, steroids, all the same questions.
Yeah, right.
And I said, I'm just going to try to get something from it. So when does he tell me? He goes, yeah, Billy, I'll talk to you. No, not a problem. And then he tells me, I'll talk to you after the game. Go down to the area where the cars will be leaving and the fans will be there. John, you've been in the same spot.
yeah.
I'm like, what? It's 2 hours before the game now. We can do it when you come out in the fourth inning. We get in spring training,
Yeah.
right? So I go down. So now I'm thinking, right? I've never done an interview in this situation before.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, in the parking lot, John, in the park. And so I go down early, right? I want to see what's the scoop, right? So I go down, and I'll be damned. Spring training game. There's a line about 150 people long, single file against the fence.
Yeah.
And I'm down there in the 8th inning, and I'm wondering, what the heck's going on here? 8th inning. And they wait, and they wait, and they wait, and I get the story. Times have changed, and I vividly remember that there was no such thing as memorabilia, and just sign, right? And you're coming just at the change of that check that you'd get, right, for, you know, that check that I'm
The licensing check,
oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a beautiful
that
check.
changed
Yeah.
dramatically during
Changed
your
your life.
time.
Big time.
So my point is, I go see what's the scoop, and the cars drive by. And out of 30 cars that come out of the gates, and I'm not finding fault with anyone, that's not the point, maybe 2 stopped, put the window down, and then, you know, signed a
Yeah.
few. So that was it. And then comes the golf cart. And it's Fielder this year. Pulls up to the fence, walks around the fence, all 150 people.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah,
Watch
that.
That's nice.
That's pretty
I told him
cool.
at the end, I said, I really don't have any questions.
Yeah,
I
you
need to ask
just, you just
Yeah.
answered every question I had.
Yeah.
How about that?
And I
That's
went,
pretty cool.
And,
Yeah.
and he says
That's
to me,
pretty
because
cool.
I know you're gonna bump heads with him, right, he says to me, look at where I'm at, look what's going on, look what's
Yeah.
happened to my life.
Yeah.
This is spring training, I can
Yeah.
Yeah.
find time to do this.
Yeah.
And I went, wow, that's end of story for me.
That's
You
pretty
know,
cool.
the thing is, though, is you can sign 200 autographs,
Yeah.
and that 201st person that you say, I gotta get home, I've
Yeah.
got company
Right.
in town,
Yeah.
he's, for the rest of his life, he's gonna call you a jerk.
That's
Now, I'll be interested on your take on this, because I took a picture of you signing Cooperstown. I wanted that shot of your back and all the fans reaching over.
Yeah.
And obviously, all those years in the bigs, you've been in that situation. I've asked that question before. One of the best answers I got from a guy that just gets hit every day, everywhere he goes. When Mattingly took that half season and said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to handle things, I went down to Evansville. And I had to speak at the college. And I talked to Marty Appel, the Yankees' former PR guy.
Yeah.
And he said, Don said, come over to the farm. So it was so relaxed during a chaotic point of his life.
Yeah,
And
perfect.
he gave me this answer, which was pretty good. He said, I know when I'm in this situation, whether it's the bus, the stands here, wherever it is with baseball, I know I've either got in my brain 5 minutes, 3 minutes, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. You know where I'm going,
Yeah.
Larry. And he said, I know what I've got in my head, and I'm going to try to do one for each, right? And especially those little ones that I'm looking down a bit
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
And when it's the time, right, I know I'm going to get that 101st person.
Yeah.
But I'm consciously picking these 7, 8 minutes to give back. And I'm going to be okay with it no matter what the guy is that I missed
Yeah.
said. I thought
Yeah.
that was a pretty good answer.
Yeah, that's the way you gotta handle it. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, man, you know, and And then sometimes at Cooperstown, they say, the kids are getting up, don't sign in between innings because people are blocked out, and I hate to tell a kid no.
Yeah.
And so I had to really watch myself, because I'm just like, here, come here.
You know, it was interesting.
But you still got to say that one guy, though, like you said.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to go, the bus is leaving. Come on, sign. I'm like, oh, my God.
And
My
to be
parents
at
are
that
in
game,
town,
Yeah.
and
to see Ozzie Smith work with the fans, to see
Oh,
Phil
he's
Negro,
terrific. Yeah,
right?
he's
The
awesome.
first year with Brooks there.
Yeah, Brooks
You know,
is-
we're talking the Hall of Famers, right?
Yeah.
And what a great representation. They can't be doing it just because it's this event. So I watched Ozzie, Brooks, Phil, and all these years later, they're still just rolling with the flow.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
Same thing.
Final
The
question.
only time it gets annoying is when you see somebody, the father says, get him, get him, get him.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
kid goes over and he picks up a popcorn box from on the ground and brings
Yeah,
it to you and
great.
says, do you have a pen?
Yeah.
Sure, I carry it with me all the time.
Or the guy the adult that's leaning over these little kids and he's shoving
Yeah.
the ball in your face.
Yeah.
Hey, get mine.
Pushing
like,
the kids
I'm
aside.
like Manley. Let me get these little guys.
Yeah.
You stand back and let me get these little kids.
I just wanted to go with, it's not August, it's not September, it's not October, and I get to use this, right? This is fun stuff. We're in June. I want to know who's playing who in the World Series this year, and who's winning. You know, we got two guys that are used to microphones, so it's not like I'm putting you in a bad spot. But I'd like to know who's playing who in the World Series and who's winning technically the seventh game. Either one of you can go first, and then
I
I'm
went
gone.
first
I'll let
last
you
night.
go.
You're up.
I still like the Tigers. I do. I think that they've got enough talent to get there. National League, I don't know about the National League.
It's an interesting call.
Yeah.
It really is.
I'd like to see St. Louis, just because I love St. Louis. So, Detroit and St. Louis would be a good series, wouldn't it?
That'd be again, 06. It was just like a flip of
Yeah.
when we were down 3-1, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Tigers had a much better team in 06,
Yeah.
and they just nothing worked.
I know.
Nothing worked,
Couldn't believe it.
and
Because the pitchers couldn't catch a ground ball.
and that's the truth. How about that? More than once.
Yeah.
Or throw it to a base.
Would have never
Or
guessed it.
cover.
I was in games 3, 4, and 5 in Texas this year. I left Texas. Now, we all got all these years in the games. I left Texas going to anyone that would listen, right? I don't know which game the Rangers are winning in St. Louis, but coming out of those 3 games in Texas, I was just like, the World Series champions are finally going to be the Rangers. We're
Yeah.
going to watch Nolan. And then I come home and I'm like, that's why this game is really
Yeah.
different, man.
You ever see a guy go like this late in the game, like nothing goes over your head?
Yeah.
Cruz is standing there 30 feet from the wall. I'm like, where's he
Oh my
playing?
God, I'm still.
He catches
I'm
the
still-
ball, it's over.
I know.
Yep.
And I'm like, holy cow.
It's one of my favorite quotes. Eddie Rodriguez, remember Eddie Rodriguez,
Yeah.
right-handed pitcher? He said, the only thing in baseball that you know for sure is that you never know.
Yeah, right. You never
That's the truth.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
give
good
it to you.
statement. Good statement.
Who's playing who, kid?
Well, yeah, I'm sort of a homer. I'm like Larry. I think the Tigers just on the verge. They came to Cincinnati 2 weeks ago, and they were like 6 games under, and they came back and won on Saturday. They came back down like 4 runs on Sunday, and to myself, that's those 2 games or a couple of games
Yeah.
they can just get out of there and build on. Now, they finally got back to 500. And they got the White Sox lost in their leg a little bit.
Yeah.
And now, yesterday, the Pirates, they go to Pittsburgh. Pirates beat them 4-1. They were down 4-1 today. And I'm going, come on, guys,
Yeah.
beat the teams you should beat. Now, the Pirates aren't that bad. They got a nice club. It's not that they're like they have been,
Oh, sure.
10 years ago. But
They were a pretty easy win 10 years ago.
oh, my golly. It's like, let me pitch. I'll pitch on 3 days rest. In the National League, and I see them play a lot, but I'll tell you, the Reds have a nice team.
Yeah.
Joey Votto's unbelievable.
Oh,
Yeah, he
See,
is.
now he was my second choice of a player I'd go to take to see him play.
Yeah.
He loved Ted Williams. He's got every book or anything Ted Williams
Does
ever.
he?
Oh, he's and never met him. Never met Ted Williams. But he hits the ball out here on that yellow dot. He yanks this one. He hits home runs at left center. He hits them straight away. He'll yank one. But he is just and doesn't cause a problem. He's very introverted. He's a great kid, but
Right.
I did the card show with him.
Did you?
And here's a character, and here's a guy shows his character. We were signed. It was Cal Daniels, Ron Robinson, myself,
Okay.
and then current Reds was Chris Dickerson and Votto.
Okay.
So Sunday we had a huge crowd. We signed like 12, let's say 12-4.
Okay.
Sunday was 1-3 or 1-4, and so about 3:30. the promoter came over and the crowd fell off, you know, it's Sunday afternoon, and anybody that was there had probably been there. And then he said, Joe, you guys, if you want to leave, go ahead. He says, no, he said, you know, it's 3:30. There might be that dad that promised his kid he would come and bring him, and he couldn't get here until like maybe quarter to 4, 4 o'clock. He said, I'll stay till 4.
That's nice.
And I went, wow, how about that?
Yeah.
A current guy,
Yeah.
90% up,
Oh, yeah.
got the check, see it.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, I'll stay till 4. That's okay, because there might be one. It's just like you said, that guy, the 101st guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, where's Votto? Well, he left. Oh, that what a jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
He stayed.
Yeah, he stayed. And I said, Joey, that shows me something, buddy. Good for you. Good for you. Because they don't want my autograph. They want his.
Oh, yeah.
My
So-
son just retired from baseball.
Did he?
Yeah, he hung it up. And he's going to law school, which is a good thing.
Good for him.
What organization was he in?
The Tigers,
Was he
as a
really?
matter of fact, yeah.
No way.
And so he was in the Tigers minor leagues. And Votto came down on a rehab, and he said, Dad, I didn't know anybody could hit a ball that far that he hit off me.
He was a pitcher too, huh?
Yeah.
I was in spring training this year, then I went out to Arizona, and I went to talk to Heisey, because
Yeah.
he's a local boy.
Nice player.
And, oh, and talk about a nice guy,
Yeah,
being
he's a
able to
good kid.
handle the crowd and whatnot.
Yeah.
Votto gets done with the big league game, goes down to the minor league complex, right? And because I don't have much interaction with him,
Yeah.
I've heard this story or that story, and bats once an inning down in the
Down
minor
there.
league
Just
complex.
gets more swings in.
He just wants more swings.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to find fault with that?
Hitting
No
machine.
kid, man.
Yeah.
No kid.
Hitting machine.
So-
But I think the Reds really have a legitimate shot. Their pitch is pretty
Okay.
good. They got a nice bullpen. Cueto pitched today, shut out the Twins, who are probably the worst, one of the 4 or 5 worst teams in the league
Now.
Sure.
right now. But they got it going. You know, Dusty does a good job with those kids, and Heisey's playing well. And they got Rowland back, but that Todd Frazier filled in great.
Yeah.
You know, Todd Frazier, he was on that Toms River team when they won the Little League World
And have you
Series.
spent any time with him?
No, I've never met him.
Warden.
Is he a good
I
guy?
will, just go talk to him for a minute.
I will.
Because if he's Mo Drabowski, Gary Bell, Jon Warden.
No kid.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
they're
trust
great.
me. Love
Great.
him. Love
Yeah,
him. Love
great.
him. To the both of you guys, the key thing with this was, you have no idea what you're in store for, but I sure hope we get to talk to you after this is all said and done.
No problem.
And
No
I
problem.
thank you for your time.
Yeah, my
My
pleasure.
pleasure.
My pleasure. Thank
You
you.
My
kidding me?
pleasure.
I wasn't letting you alone until you got here, and I'm not even saying it to you. Half a decade's a half a decade.
I know.
You know?
How many years you had this?
Guess what the bottom line is? You'll be calling us to come back.
I hope
next
so.
year.
There you go.
All right. Thank you, man.
Hey,
I appreciate
when you
it.
get Whitey next year, if
Yeah.
I'm here, I'll remind you. But ask him about when he was with Yogi,
Right.
some of the stories Yogi
Oh, man.
had. And he went home with Yogi. He said, hey, Whitey, you want to come have dinner? Yeah, I get my wife. She's going to fix spaghetti and stuff. And he goes, yeah, I'd love to. So they get home. She's not there. I forget Yogi's wife's name. And
Carmen.
Carmen.
Carmen's not there, and he's, oh my God, I said, we had a glass of wine, blah, blah, blah. Here she comes in. Where you been? I got White here. You got, where's the spaghetti and stuff? She goes, I went to see Dr. Zhivago. He goes, oh man, what's the matter with you now? Yogi is Yogi, man. I mean, you know, they think people made these quotes up.
Absolutely
like,
not.
You know,
No,
it's, I mean,
I went to this house to do the interview, and you know, you have 3 or 4 in your head. So we know whatever 3 or 4 we have in our head. I come down the driveway. It's a long driveway. It's a good sized driveway. And then there's green in front of me. The road turns to the right. The road turns to the left. Well, you can't see in front of you. It's like going to Willie Mays' house. You just go.
Yeah.
And then I go to the right. I go around and pull up to the front of the house. I get it. When you come to a Y on the road, take it. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Either way, I was going to his house. It became abundantly clear that he was being dead serious, and it made sense.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the restaurant. I go by a restaurant, see a big line, Yogi goes, that place will never make it, they can't get in. Yogi, they're waiting to
Thank
get in,
you,
because
guys.
that's why.
All right.
I loved it.
Thanks, Billy.
Are you kidding me?